Hey there, beautiful people, and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever felt that gut-wrenching fear? That cold dread that creeps into your heart when you're unjustly accused of something? That feeling of your breath catching your throat, your mind racing. Try to understand how this could be happening to you? We all crave fairness, don't we? That simple desire to be seen, to be heard, to be treated with respect. But what happens when that fundamental right is challenged, stripped away in an instant based on nothing but a snap judgment? Let's dive into a story that will make your blood boil, a story that explores the raw pain of prejudice and the unwavering strength of character in the face of it. Let's dive to see. The Florida sun beat down on the black sedan, baking the leather seats. Inside, Judge Anya Du Bois, a woman who had dedicated her life to upholding the very laws of the land, adjusted her glasses, a slight furrow in her brow as she navigated the familiar streets of her neighborhood. She was returning from a long and emotionally draining day at the courthouse, the weight of the day's cases still heavy on her shoulders. All she wanted was to get home, to the comforting embrace of her quiet evening, a cup of chamomile tea, and maybe a good book. Little did she know, her peaceful journey was about to be violently interrupted. Suddenly, flashing blue and red lights filled her rearview mirror. A knot of unease tightened in Anya's stomach. She signaled, carefully pulled over to the side of the road, and put the car in park. Her mind raced. Had she missed a sign? Was her registration expired? She couldn't think of any reason for the stop. A tall, burly white police officer, Officer Cade Miller, approached her vehicle, his face stern and unreadable. Anya lowered her window, her heart pounding a nervous rhythm against her ribs. "License and registration, please." Officer Miller's voice was flat, devoid of any warmth. Anya's hand trembled slightly as she reached for her purse, retrieving her driver's license and the car's registration. She handed them to the officer, her gaze steady, trying to project an air of calm she didn't entirely feel. Officer Miller took the documents, his eyes scanning them with an almost accusatory glare. He lingered on Anya's photo, then back at her, a look of suspicion hardening his features. Something felt wrong, terribly wrong. "This vehicle is registered to a Ms. Eleanor Vance," Officer Miller stated, his tone implying disbelief. "Yes, that's correct," Anya replied, her voice calm but firm. "Ms. Vance is my mother. She's currently out of the country, and I have full permission to use her car." Officer Miller's eyes narrowed. "Permission? Do you have any proof of that?" A wave of disbelief washed over Anya. Proof? She was a judge, a respected member of this community. How dare he question her like this? But beneath the rising anger, a prickle of fear began to take root. This wasn't a routine traffic stop. This felt personal, targeted. "Officer," Anya began, her voice gaining a sharp edge, "I am Judge Anya Du Bois. I reside at—" Officer Miller cut her off, a sneer playing on his lips. "A judge, huh? And you're driving a car that's not registered in your name? That's convenient." His words hung in the air, thick with insinuation. Anya's blood ran cold. He wasn't listening to her. He had already made up his mind. The color of her skin, the fact that she was driving a nice car that wasn't registered in her name. In his eyes, that was all the proof he needed. The years of hard work, the countless hours dedicated to serving justice, the respect she had earned in her community. None of it seemed to matter to him in this moment. "Officer, I assure you, there's been a misunderstanding," Anya said, trying to keep her voice level despite the tremor of outrage that coursed through her. "I can provide you with my mother's contact information. You can verify." "Verify what?" Officer Miller scoffed. "That you didn't steal this car? That's what I'm trying to figure out right now." The accusation hung heavy in the air, a slap in the face, a stark reminder of the prejudice that still lurked beneath the surface of their society. Anya felt a surge of humiliation, of anger, but also a deep, profound sadness. Was this what it meant to be a black woman in America? To be constantly under suspicion? To have your integrity questioned simply because of the color of your skin? A small crowd had begun to gather on the sidewalk. drawn by the flashing lights. Anya could feel their eyes on her, some curious, some judgmental, some perhaps even understanding. The weight of their gaze added to her already immense distress. "Officer," Anya said, her voice trembling slightly now, "this is outrageous. I have done nothing wrong. You have no right to detain me like this." "I have every right," Officer Miller retorted, his voice rising. "You're driving a vehicle that doesn't belong to you, and your explanation sounds flimsy at best." "Step out of the car, please." Tears welled up in Anya's eyes, blurring her vision. This was her nightmare come to life. To be treated like a criminal, to be humiliated in her own neighborhood, simply because of the assumptions of a prejudiced man in uniform. The pain was searing, a deep wound that cut through her dignity and her sense of security. With trembling hands, Anya unbuckled her seatbelt and stepped out of the car. The hot asphalt burned against her feet. She stood tall, despite the fear that threatened to consume her gaze fixed on Officer Miller. "Officer," she said, her voice now filled with a quiet but steely resolve, "you are making a grave mistake. This will not stand." Officer Miller smirked. "Is that a threat, Judge?" "It's a promise," Anya replied, her eyes blazing with righteous anger. Just then, a familiar voice cut through the tense silence. "Kate, what in the world is going on here?" Sheriff Brody, a man Anya knew and respected, approached the scene, his brow furrowed with concern. He looked from Anya to Officer Miller, his expression questioning. Officer Miller turned to his superior, a hint of defensiveness in his posture. "Sheriff, I pulled this woman over for driving a vehicle that's not registered in her name. She claims it belongs to her mother, but..." Sheriff Brody's gaze softened as he looked at Anya. "Anya, is everything all right?" A wave of relief washed over Anya at the sight of a familiar, understanding face. "Sheriff Brody," she said, her voice thick with emotion, "this officer stopped me and accused me of stealing my mother's car. He refused to listen when I told him who I am." Sheriff Brody's eyes widened in surprise and then narrowed with disapproval as he turned to Officer Miller. "Kate, do you know who this is?" Officer Miller shifted uncomfortably. "She said she's a judge, Sheriff, but you didn't believe her?" Sheriff Brody finished, his voice stern. He turned back to Anya, his expression apologetic. "Anya, I am so sorry about this. This is completely unacceptable." The tension in the air seemed to dissipate slightly as Sheriff Brody's presence commanded authority and understanding. The onlookers murmured amongst themselves, their initial curiosity now tinged with a sense of injustice. Sheriff Brody addressed Anya with genuine remorse. "Judge Du Bois, please get back in your car. Officer Miller will be having a serious conversation with me back at the station. This kind of behavior will not be tolerated." Anya, still shaken but relieved, nodded slowly and returned to her car. Sheriff Brody gave her a reassuring look before turning his attention back to a visibly chastened Officer Miller. As Anya drove home, the humiliation and anger slowly began to give way to a profound sense of sadness. Sadness that even someone in her position, a respected judge, wasn't immune to the insidious nature of prejudice. Sadness that a simple drive home could turn into a degrading and frightening experience based solely on the color of her skin. The image of Officer Miller's accusatory face, the weight of his unwarranted suspicion, lingered in her mind. It was a stark reminder that the fight for equality and justice was far from over, that assumptions and biases could still inflict deep wounds, even on those who had dedicated their lives to upholding the law. But amidst the sadness, a spark of determination ignited within Anya. This incident, as painful and humiliating as it was, would not break her. It would only strengthen her resolve to fight for a world where everyone was treated with dignity and respect, where the color of their skin was not a reason for suspicion or judgment. What are your thoughts on this incident, everyone? Have you ever experienced or witnessed something similar? Share your experiences and your location in the comments below. Let's have an open and honest conversation about the realities of prejudice and the importance of standing up for what is right. And if this story resonated with you, if it made you think, please hit that like button. It helps us reach more people and spread this important message. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for being a part of this community. You are all truly appreciated. Moral lesson: prejudice blinds us to the truth and inflicts deep wounds on individuals and communities. True justice requires us to see beyond superficial differences and treat every human being with the respect and dignity they deserve. Never be afraid to speak truth to power, and always remember that your voice can be a powerful catalyst for change.